Welcome to Net Friending Social Time for Special Needs Moms with yours truly, April 2.0. This is a special live stream tonight because, as you can see there, I'm going to be talking about autism families in crisis. Why? As I mute my phone because all the dings are going off. Because it's a needed discussion. So every Tuesday at 9 o'clock Eastern, we go live here, there, and everywhere on 5 different platforms, 5 different destinations, not platforms, to do some social time, to connect with the people that we need to be connected with. And right now, and always, my passion is with other autism mamas. It's not to say we're going to exclude the papas, the daddies. There's no exclusion of daddies here, but I'm a mama, and I know there's other moms out there who are going to resonate with what I'm passionate about when it comes to our kids who are on the autism spectrum. And even if you don't have a child of your own who is on the spectrum, it is more than likely that your life, your world has in some way, shape, or form been touched by somebody who does have autism. So even if you're not closely connected to a child or even an adult on the spectrum, I encourage you to listen to some of the things that we talk about, because you could very well be a cheerleader for somebody that you know whose life is affected by autism. And so today I was talking to a colleague of mine, and we were sharing, our, wow, did you see that thing on the news? And did you see that other thing on the news? And in the midst of that conversation, this person said to me, oh, did you see that there's a boy missing somewhere who's on the autism spectrum? And I said, no, I haven't heard that. And so I thought about it a couple of times after she mentioned that to me, but I didn't have a chance to Google search it. And as I was thinking about how I said last night, I think it was, that I am committed to going live now every single day for at least 15 or 20 minutes. And that starts with tonight, because last night we did our show for social time. This is a continuation of that, but I'm by myself. But that doesn't mean that you can't jump into a seat, because if something that I share resonates with you and you want to have a conversation about it, this is not one of those live streams, aka TV 2.0 talk shows, where I'm just going to talk at you the whole time and say, but you can't jump in a seat with me. No, that's not what it's like here. There's a link, a guest link in the show description. If you're on desktop, it's up there maybe, or maybe it's down there. I don't know. So many devices. So I did a Google search on this child with autism that my coworker said was missing. And I wasn't expecting to see what I ended up seeing. And I want to share that with you tonight, because it was gut-wrenching. And it just got me on this whole kick about so many topics that are going unspoken. Like there's kids that are dying. There's kids that are being abused. There's kids that are missing. And who's talking about this? Why is this not at the forefront of topics being discussed? And so, I thought, if nobody else is going to talk about it, I'm going to be the one to talk about it, because it's a tough topic to tackle. That's a lot of T's, tough topic to tackle. You guys can hashtag that if you want to. And by the way, I see there are some people here. So I would love to know who you are, where you're from, how you found us, and let's open up a conversation. So I'm going to jump right into it. because there's several, 1, 2, 3. I have a lot of tabs open. I have 5 different tabs open of things that I discovered through a Google search today. Starting with one of the most horrific stories, and sadly, it's not uncommon. So I'm going to share my screen, and it's funny because, not really funny. Earlier today in the morning, I was watching Pat Flynn over on YouTube. He does a daily, he used to call it a Q&A. Now he's got actually specific topics he covers every day. And one of the things that I mentioned in the text of his live stream to his community of followers was that, you know, there's a lot of people doing these TV 2.0 talk shows, these live streams, and they're like, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what content to come up with. And I said, when you find yourself at a loss for what to talk about, just cover other people's stuff, which is what I want to do with this. Just share your screen, share an article, share a video, maybe hold up a book and read from it. There is so much content already out there. Take what other people are talking about that's relevant, that's serious, that's important, and give it your own flair. Give it your deep dive assessment. Put your own spin on what somebody else or many somebody else's are already talking about, because if other people are talking about it, it's relevant. So that's what I want to do here today. This is going to be a very difficult thing for some people to see. You can't, it's not a great video, but this is video surveillance. So it's kind of sideways and crooked and it's a little grainy, but I think it's the only video that's out there right now on the internet. So I am going to make this as big as I possibly can. And I'm going to play, and I just need to preface this with, this is really difficult to watch for anybody, but it's even more so difficult to watch this as an autism parent. And there's a reason why I'm sharing this with you all tonight, because there are some parents out there who are at the end of their rope. They don't know what else to do. And some people feel like they only have one way out of a situation. So I'm just warning you that if you're really sensitive to seeing something that, like I was, that's going to maybe have your stomach doing some flip-flops, you may not want to watch this. So this is, let me see if I can go down here. This is surveillance cameras that captured the first time that this mom was taking her little boy by the arms, walking him very close to the bank of this canal. This is in South Florida, which is actually where I am from. So I'm not terribly unfamiliar with this geography, but she's an autism mom. Her child, 9 years old. And she ends up throwing him, nudging him, pushing him into the canal. And it was captured on video. And let me make this bigger. So I don't know how well you can see this. But there she is walking along the bank with him. And she actually puts her hand behind his head. And then she leads him towards the water. I know they're like behind that little tree. And then she shoves him in. There's the big splash, and she takes off running. And I don't know why that went away, because there's more to that video. This is live, folks. Here, this one may be better, actually. I think this one plays the whole video. Of course, it's not going to be, I don't know why that didn't show the whole video. Let me see if that was a glitch. Because here, if we go, nope. She runs. Yeah. What you don't see here, there was another video, I guess, that I was looking at. She runs away and then comes back like 20 seconds later with somebody who was a bystander. And yeah, sad and OMG is both an understatement. Hi, Matthew. Hi, Jennifer. So the mom ends up coming back to the canal with a bystander, and they don't show it on video. They just show the mom coming back with the lady, and they get the kid, the son, the 9-year-old autistic child, they get him out of the canal, and he's okay at that point. So if I share this with you again, I wish these silly article things would stop popping up. Let me see. So I want you to read along with me. Sure, I'll accept your cookies. So I don't know. Let me look and see how well you can see this screen. There. Okay. So it says that days after Miami's Patricia Ripley was charged with her autistic son's murder, they discovered this surveillance. I'm just gonna summarize this for you, or paraphrase this, because you can read along. But suffice to say, they found this video surveillance of where she pushed her child into the canal. The video, which was obtained and aired by Univision's national news network, shows the mom walking her 9-year-old son, Alejandro, on the bank of a West Kendall Canal. This is again in South Florida. She was looking around. As I showed you in the video, she stroked his head first. So, you know, what we do here is we do blab. We do what we call a blab. Hashtag blab with a 2 in the middle, which is body language 2.0 and beyond. And we do it the net friending way. So one of my superpowers is assessing people's body language, be it in person, offline, or online. And so before I even read the article and I was just looking at the video, I was looking at it very closely. And I thought to myself, like, I wanted to know, because I already knew that this child was murdered. I wanted to know what that relationship between them looked like. Was she angry at him? Was this done like in a moment of rage? And so I was really paying close attention to how she was treating him as I watched the video. And I could see that she did what, like I do with my son, you know, where I'm like, oh, here, baby, it's okay. Or, you know, I don't know what she was saying to him in that moment, but she did stroke the back of his head first. And that just struck me as odd in light of what I already knew based on reading the headline of this article. And it said it in the article that she stroked the back of his head. And then she forcefully threw him in the water. It wasn't a tap and an oops. It was like, let me push you in and then I'm going to run. And so, taking you back to the article, it says that Ripley, the mom, runs away off screen, and then she comes back, like I said, 20 seconds later, approximately, with a bystander who saw the child in the water and then rushed to rescue him. That's Alejandro, 9 years old, West Kendall in South Florida. And the family's last name is Ripley. The mom's, they keep referring to her as Ripley, but that's not her first name. The authorities said that the shove was Ripley's first, but it was thwarted because of that innocent bystander who came by. But an hour later, after that incident that you saw on the video, an hour later, the mom took her child. Now, this is a severely autistic child. And from what I read in another article, I don't believe that he is verbal. So an hour later, she takes him to another canal where he ultimately died because that time there was nobody there. There was no bystander. He suffered, as this article says, from severe autism. And there it is. He could not speak. Just like my son. My son just turned 10, severely autistic, nonverbal. So as you can imagine, this, and I'm not looking at the screen, so if y'all are saying stuff, I'm not paying attention. Matthew says, please tell me that she was arrested and being punished for this. I don't know. See, I was reading all of this before I got onto a Zoom call, and then I came right here. So I know part of this story, and I'm still learning about it as I'm here unpacking it with you all. So this is just like my son, nonverbal, severe. You know, we don't yet know like what this child was like in his day-to-day life. I'm going to look for more information on that, but this story apparently has really, as you can imagine, gripped a lot of people. It's gotten public attention, and as well as has the story of the mom who had filed a bogus report to Miami-Dade police that 2 black men kidnapped the boy after running her off the road that night. The video, the one I just showed you, was taken from a nearby condo complex, and that's going to be key evidence against the mom as she awaits trial for first-degree murder and attempted murder, because you have the 2 separate incidents, the one that I showed you and then the one that we don't have captured. Right now she's in jail, and they have ruled the death a drowning at the medical examiner's office. Why am I wearing my earbuds? I don't need that because my ear's ringing. So investigators say that they believe the mom, who's 45. Now, there's another Me Too thing. I'm not 45, but I am going to be 47 in July. So we're pretty close in age. And she's got a son that's just about the same age as mine. But she is a married mother of 2. I only have 1 child. And she had become, I want to hone in on this because this is really the reason why I'm doing this show tonight. She had become, they believe she had become overwhelmed in caring for the boy in recent months. Let me pause on that for a second. Yes, please. Yes. So Matthew's at work. Thank you for tuning in, even though you're at work. He said it doesn't matter what his state of autism is. He is a human and a child, and I agree. Totally. So the part I'm honing in on is that this mom is believed to have been overwhelmed in caring for her son in recent months. Go back to what I said before about the fact that she stroked the back of his head before she pushed him in the water. I don't know what I don't know about any of this. This is just my initial assessment based on reading an article and watching a video. I don't believe that a mother that was just evil and vicious is going to stroke the back of her child's head before she throws him into a canal. I really believe what this article says, that they believe that she became overwhelmed in caring for her son in recent months. Now, in recent months, what have we experienced in the recent months, right? We are now at the end of May, and most of us have been homebound, quarantined, under stay-at-home orders since mid-March. That to me would be recent months, right? This brings up for me the fact that, first of all, this story is probably not the only one that has occurred. It's just the only one I have found because I went looking for it. This story will not be the only one in months going forward. If you do a Google search on autism abuse, autism missing child, you're going to find a lot of stuff. And I've said this in past shows. The media will give a lot of attention, the mainstream media will give a lot of attention to a story. They may even sensationalize it. They embellish sometimes. They puff it up to get ratings. They will dig into things and make something out of nothing in some cases. They will give it all the attention in the world for a day or two. And depending on how really bad the story is, and bad meaning horrific, they may give it 3 days of airtime or social media time. But then it goes away. It just, 3 days from now, nobody will remember this sweet 9-year-old autistic boy. And that makes me so sad and so blank. These kids are so amazing. And I'm sure my mommy instincts are like, sure, as sure as I can be, that this mother had a child that she really did love. And in her mind, that love meant putting her child out of his misery. And that breaks my heart, because those are the moms that I want to reach. That's why I come out here and do what I do. Because to be at the point where you are on the brink of a canal and you feel like the only thing that you have left as a choice is to throw your child into a canal and watch them drown, that's just unthinkable for me. I can't imagine as a mother ever even having that as a thought. But maybe I'm stronger than the average bear. I don't know. Maybe it's because my child, maybe I haven't reached that point of, behavior issues that this mom may have reached. Maybe I will find myself feeling some sort of way at some point where I'm like, what do I do? We are in a time right now of financial crisis. We are in a time of job loss. We are in a time of, how am I going to pay this electric bill? How am I going to put food on the table? We are in a time of, oh my goodness, I can't even go out into the world and hug a friend. I could go on. We are in a time of uncertainty, And for autism moms, we're in a time where our kids are not going to school. They're not getting the services that they need. A lot of kids depend on the services that are provided within the public education system. And I can tell you from personal experience, and anybody who's an autism mom or educator can come here and vouch for this. While we are doing the distance learning that is done in the school system, which really isn't distance learning at all. Really, it's just a bunch of links that the school system sends you to show to your child and here, show them this and work on this with them. But it's not individualized, and it's certainly not the hands-on experience that they're getting in school with an occupational therapist, a physical therapist, a speech therapist, maybe even a behavioral therapist. This is the time that autism moms need support the most. And I look across social media, and as I'm just thinking about what I'm going to say next, because I'm not scripted, this show tonight was completely one of those, I'm passionate about this. I want to go live with this. I want to talk about it. I want to bring it to light, not to shame this mom, not to call her names, not to judge her. I want to bring this mom to the forefront because clearly there was an issue in her life that drove her to make this unthinkable decision to push her child into a canal, which ultimately led to his death. I want to bring to light that just about everybody knows someone with a child who has special needs, not even autism, any special need. Maybe you know people who have children who are in wheelchairs, who are on ventilators, who can't walk, can't talk, can't hear, can't see. So many kids nowadays are being born with all kinds of different abilities. I like to say different abilities rather than disabilities, because all of our kids have some type of abilities. They're just different. And I'm just thinking about people like this mom. And let me make that bigger again so that you can see, had become overwhelmed in caring for the boy in recent months. On Thursday night, she called the police and reported that a car had run her off the road. She claimed that one of the men got out of the car, demanded drugs at knife point, and took her son. The state immediately issued an Amber Alert for the child. And you know what happens when they issue an Amber Alert, right? It's like everybody gets the text messages and it becomes an all-out manhunt for this child. But investigators became suspicious very quickly because the story she was giving them, first of all, seemed unbelievable. And secondly, she was giving them a variety of versions of the story, which is often seen when somebody is wanting to cover something up. So this was when? Thursday night. And then on Friday morning, the boy's body was found in a canal. And it was about 4 miles from where she claimed the alleged abduction took place. So Miami-Dade homicide detectives had immediately learned that the mom earlier in the evening had been seen at that canal, which was in the video I showed you. And that video, obviously, as you know, showed her pushing her son into the water, and the bystander had come to the rescue. This article says how she persuaded the bystander to not call 911 remained unclear. I don't think the boy was in the water that long, and I don't think it would be weird for the bystander to not make her call 911. I don't think, In my assessment of body language, what I would think in this case is that the mom probably seemed frantic because she realized that this bystander was there. She was probably like, oh, thank you for my child. And I'm totally guessing. I don't know. I wasn't there. But as long as the child was okay coming out of the water and it had just happened, if the child appeared to be okay, the bystander was probably just grateful that she was able to help and get the child to the land, and probably didn't think that 911 was necessary. We don't know, though. We don't know how that went down. They say that also there was a security camera at a Home Depot that was near where that alleged abduction that she reported had taken place. So she was seen there sitting in her car without her son for 20 minutes before she called the police that Thursday night at 8:47 p.m. So clearly the first incident at the canal was during daylight hours. We saw it was daylight. And then it said in the article that the next attempt, of which this time she succeeded to push her son into another canal, happened an hour after that. So we can assume it was late afternoon, early evening. It was still light out. So probably 2-3 hours may have gone by before she called the police to call in that alleged abduction. So there's the mom in the courtroom. It says that she admitted she was to blame for the child's death. And here's where we feel, all the feels for what we can imagine that this mom might have been going through. She said, as I have a hair always in my eye, on my nose, she said, he's going to be in a better place. Y'all, no. No, 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 no. I don't want this. I don't want to read these stories anymore. I don't want to hear about these stories anymore. Not as long as I have this show and this platform and this voice and this virtual hand to reach out to somebody who feels like what this mom did is their only option. I want this message of mine to reach far and wide to the people, not for virality. Is that a word? I don't want a video to go viral for like sensational reasons. I just want people to care and to carry my message to somebody else and to go, that April girl, I saw that I can't even snap my fingers. I saw that April girl on a live stream, and she was talking about this story about a mom who was at the end of her rope, and she felt like her only choice in life was to end her child's life because she felt like he would be in a better place. I want somebody out there to remember that I'm here. I'm here, and I'm going to have other people coming here who are going to be that virtual shoulder for you, whoever you are, to walk you through the darkest times. I envision a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, all day on this page, live streaming, where if you're this mom and you're in crisis mode, that you just jump into a seat at 3 a.m. and there will be people here. That's what I want. I want to make all the news outlets aware that we're here for you, for friends that you know, because nobody should ever have to go through something that they're really struggling with and that they can't overcome on their own. Because I don't know about you, but I don't know any psychologist or psychiatrist that's going to answer their phone at 3 a.m. But I know a lot of good people who are up at late at night, who keep late night hours, who would be more than willing to man a 24/7 live stream channel for women like this mom. I can't even pretend to get inside of her head and understand what she was going through, that she felt this was her way out. Because in the end, she admitted that she killed her son. And she admitted that she made up the kidnapping story. She confessed to leading the boy to the canal where he ultimately died and said he's going to be in a better place. And here, I didn't even see this part earlier when I read this. The child's death. Y'all, I can't. This is everything right here. This is everything. This one sentence just says it all. The child's death has led to a surge in crisis calls for parents dealing with severely autistic children. I want to know who these people are. Where are they? Because I'm right here. How? See, this is the thing that gets me about people who write news articles, people who talk about these things on the news stations. They just leave it there. Child's death led to surge in crisis calls for parents dealing with severely autistic children. ... Oh, well. Now what? What next? Just leave that sentence hanging right there. Let's pause for a moment and just let that sink in. Because I know those parents are out there. I almost feel like just sitting here right now, just waiting and going, okay, somebody out there, come just tune into this show and tell me about somebody you know who fits that description right there. I can't. Crisis calls, you guys. Crisis. Do you know what crisis means? It means emergency, need help now. That's a crisis. Do a Google search for the name, like what I put for the title of tonight's show: Autism Families in Crisis. Do you want to know how many results Google gives you for autism families in crisis? 28,900,000. Crisis. I'm sure you, whoever you are, know somebody who is, they're done. They're just, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And I saw this video earlier, and all I could do was just continue looking over at my son, looking at him. This precious being that God blessed me with and said, I love you so much that I'm going to give you this child. And I looked at my son and I called him over to me and I started dancing with him. And he was happy. Not because he can't talk. I'm sure not being able to talk doesn't make him happy. But he's happy because he is with his mom who loves him. And he knows that and he feels that. And so often, I believe I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, so I don't have any physical evidence of this, but I firmly believe that when a child, autistic or not, when a child is in an environment where there is tension and hatred and ugliness, they will act out. And when you have an autistic child, especially one who's nonverbal, a severely autistic child, they are so sensitive. And I talk about this all the time. They are so sensitive to energy. If you don't provide an environment that's loving and nurturing, that child's behaviors are going to escalate. You have to be tuned into your child, and you have to find that Zen space for them so that they can be at the calmest they can be. So when you find yourself as an autism mom or dad or caregiver in the midst of that crisis, I really encourage you to take a step back and assess what the environment for your child is like. What triggers are present in your house? What triggers are present maybe at school? Maybe you're in a situation where you're divorced, and maybe your child is going to their dad's or their mom's, whichever, to invest time here or there, and it's a different routine and they're around different people. Question everything before you go, I'm at the end of my rope, and you feel like the only choice you have is to push your child into a canal to his death. Question everything before you decide to give your child 100 million bazillion medications. I'm not saying that a medication is not ultimately the answer. Sometimes it absolutely is. I'm just saying, question everything. Assess as much as you know to assess. And if you don't know what to assess, get with somebody who can ask you the right questions to help you figure out what those triggers are for your child. And I can tell you, it's likely not going to happen through texting on social media. You need to be in this type of environment where you can have a fluid back and forth conversation. So somebody can say, have you done this? What does this look like in your house? Oftentimes, when I had my own autism group, I'd get messages posted at like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, moms that were like, I can't take this anymore. And sometimes I really felt like they may end up like like this mom right here. And they ask questions like, my child is acting out, and I don't know what to do anymore. He's not listening to me. She's not listening to me. And the behaviors are escalating. And can somebody help me? How am I supposed to help you with that little information in a text? I need you to jump into a seat with me. I need your voice. I need to be able to talk it out with you. And now my New York is going to come out because I'm so passionate about this. I need to be able to ask you questions about your child, because not all autism children act the same, despite popular belief among some people. A lot of kids on the spectrum line up their choo-choo trains. My kid doesn't even want to play with a choo-choo train. He could care not about choo-choo trains. There's a lot of things that my son doesn't do that other kids on the spectrum do, and vice versa. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach, but yet when you go into these autism groups, my chair is falling apart. You go into these autism groups, and it's like there's this expectation that if somebody just puts something out there really vague, that there's going to be somebody who gives them the magic answer in text. I doubt anybody could have helped this mom solve her issues through a text in a Facebook group. I wish that this mom would have known that this space existed for her. I don't know what I would have said to her. I really don't, because I don't know her situation. I don't know if she was married to somebody who maybe her husband had issues with her son and it was causing issues in the marriage. I don't know. I don't know what drives people to do what they do. But I need to be able to have a conversation about it. I can't bring myself to take that off the screen. Crisis calls. Not just autistic children, but severely autistic children. Crisis calls. It doesn't say where they're coming in from. It says a surge. So let's think about that. There's a surge in crisis calls. What must parents have been thinking? And we don't even know. Did the crisis calls, it says for parents dealing with, but it doesn't say from parents dealing with. So were these people like who are friends of a family who has an autistic child where they've seen, oh my goodness, the mom is at the end of her rope and I want to help her, but I don't know how. Probably. Because I think most times a mom in crisis is not going to call for help. Why? Because she feels ashamed. She's embarrassed. And you know, when you're sitting with thoughts, like this mom probably was, about what she wanted to do, that she wanted her son to be in a better place, and for her that was the bottom of a canal. If those were the actual intentional thoughts that she had, and she didn't just go out one day and say, oh, look, that's how I'm going to do it, a canal. She probably thought about it ahead of time. I'm sure she thought about how, I can't say I'm sure, I don't know. I would guess that it was thought out. And if that's true, then if she thought about it ahead of time, yes, okay, he wants to join me. I just wanted to finish this thought, if I could think of what it was. If she thought about it ahead of time, because I was thinking about how there's other parents. Yeah, if you sit with your own thoughts and they're really dark thoughts, do you think that you're likely going to go tell authorities or a psychiatrist or anybody who can like come put you in a psychiatric ward for these dark thoughts about death, that you're thinking about killing your child? That's why parents like this mom are not speaking out, because they're thinking they're going to get in trouble. They're going to get locked away. And then their children are going to go to somebody who doesn't even understand what it's like to care for an autistic child. So her only way out is, I need to end his life so that I don't have to worry about him anymore. And so in this case of surged crisis calls, I'm thinking it's probably more than likely, and Roy will confirm this in his blab, that it's probably friends of parents that are concerned because they've seen some type of behavior or emotional outbursts from a friend or family member that causes them to be concerned. And they're seeing this video of this mom pushing her child into a canal, and they're thinking, oh my goodness, is my friend or family member at the brink of doing what I just saw this mom do? Is it possible that my friend or family member could do that? And they're concerned and they want to help and they want to get to the right people for that help. Roy.
Hi, girl.
Hi, girl.
This is this is heart-wrenching, heartbreaking. There's no. All right, let me start here. This happens. This meaning moms, parents literally reach the end of their rope with their children, not only just autistic or special needs children, children, period. And the reason is very simple. What you believe determines how you behave. What you believe determines how you believe, or excuse me, behave. Now, a lot of people will go against this and they have their own definition of why a person behaves the way they do. Um, I've been on this planet 6 decades, and I can tell you that you cannot behave outside of what you believe. What got me with this article, and I didn't know anything about this, as April told me, I'm going to do a show tonight. We call it solo shows, where she comes on by herself and she just shares what's on her heart, because that's how she rolls, and so do I. So usually I don't come on like in the past. She's been doing this for 4 years with me, and I usually don't come on. I may add a comment or two and she'll read it and then address it. But I felt the need to come on tonight and say what my wife is saying to you who are listening, and to the world who hasn't yet heard this video, April's message, needs to hear it. And they need to know that they can come to this environment right here with April by herself, or with me, or with the other people that will want to join us in this movement. We call it a net friending movement. Yes, autism parents need to network with one another. They need to know what's going on in their household that will help save the life of some young man like this lady's son. Here's what I believe. I believe that if she had the right people around her, she never would have done that. Her belief system would have been completely different. She never would have done that, and she would have been able to adjust, pivot, make a new decision, however you want to put it, to help her son be all that he could be. Obviously, this is not God's will for her to do this. I think that's obvious even to an atheist. But she did it. And through every crisis, tragedy comes good. So it wasn't God's, it wasn't his will for her, but he allowed it. It was the allowed will of God for this lady to do what she did. And out of it is going to come a lot of good, such as what we read and what April left up on the screen for some time, because it touched her and it touched me. And that's why I'm up here, is to say, now a lot of people are coming out and into the public light, out of the darkness, into the light, going, I'm raising my hand. That's me. How can I be helped to not do what this lady did? Because I feel like it. I've been feeling like it for the last 3 minutes. I've been feeling like it for the last 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, and I can't shake it out of my head. And it's getting more and more prevalent. And yeah, I never would have thought this. This lady never would have thought, oh, I'm going to have a child and then I want to kill it. Kill him, kill her, not it. When it reaches a certain point to where I can't deal with it. Obviously, to me, it's obvious to me that this lady did not have a support system where she could go to and go, you know what, I'm at the end of my rope, I'm having a meltdown, can you help me? Somebody help me. And like April said earlier, it doesn't matter if April doesn't know what to tell this lady. That's not the point. The point is, she needs to be in somebody's presence who gets it, who wants to listen, who has an ear for her, and to say to her, empathy, not sympathy. I may not know exactly what you're going through, but it doesn't matter because I'm here for you. I'm just going to give you a virtual hug. I'm just going to let you talk it out because what I learned through my devastating and my crisis through my first marriage with my first wife, with my kids at the time, they were 4 and 1, all of that. I had a suicidal thought, for a nanosecond. Wasn't going to do it, but I had the thought, and I never thought I would have the thought. It was going to, the newspaper headlines were going to read, Bellflower man kills wife, kills kids, turns gun on self. That's what I thought. But just having a thought isn't a sin. Going through with it is. And I'm sure she had this thought many days, many moons ahead of time and thought, I have enough courage, I have enough whatever to do this. And she did it out in the open. So to me, unless she's completely insane, she wanted to get caught. She was going to get caught. And the fact that she even had a second opportunity to rethink this because that bystander helped her, gave her child back, she just said, no, I'm going through with this. That must have been a lot of pain. You have to be in a lot of pain to go through that. My point here is this. We don't have a million people following us at this point in time, but we should. Because April's message combined with my message, talk it out so you don't have to act it out. If she had somebody to talk it out with, just one person, but yet a whole group of people, a whole tribe of people behind her just saying, talk it out. I'm here to listen to you. I don't have to fix it. I can't fix it. I don't know how to fix it, but just God giving us the opportunity to talk it out for somebody else to hear you and to say, my heart bleeds for you. I don't know what to do, but here's my virtual hug. Or let me run over to your house if I'm nearby. Let's meet at a coffee shop and let me just give you a hug, skin to skin. I don't know what they talk about in suicide hotlines and how they help people off the ledge or whatever their situation is. But I'm sure if she would have called, they probably would have said something like, well, yeah, talk it out with us. Talk it out with us. I hope that that's what they're doing because that's enough. The person will go like, somebody cares. There's a reason for me not to kill my child. Yes, Tammy. April, please read what Tammy said and shared because we don't want to ignore the people that are here. I had my eyes closed. I didn't see it.
She said it's very important to surround ourselves with people that understand.
Amen. And even if we don't understand, we understand that we need to be around people just to have them talk it out. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm advocating is talk it out. I was given that information. I was given that advice when I was going through my crisis. And I was bent over for nearly 30 days with this pain in my stomach. Physically, I was in pain and bent over going to work every day because of the crisis that had happened before me when my wife wanted to leave me and take the kids and divorce me and all of that stuff that was going on because, yeah, that was the rug being pulled out from my life back in 1990, So I'm 30 years on the other side of it, and I can talk about this kind of stuff. So I was told, talk it out. And I would just talk out my situation with anybody who wanted to listen. And today I can tell you my whole entire story. All the shame, all the guilt is now gone because that's what I do. I talk with people and you talk out your shame and guilt and you can talk to anybody even if you don't know them. And a lot of people hold this in. They feel the shame, they feel the guilt, and that keeps them from reaching out to people, even their own parents, siblings. I'm in pain, I'm hurting, I want to kill my child. Help me. April, thoughts?
Tammy said Romans 8:28 is the verse that she thinks you're thinking of.
Yes, and of course this is only for believers. If you're not a believer, you're on your own. I don't know if this lady's a believer or not. I think she might be because she said, my son is in a better place. So she does believe that he is now in heaven, and I believe absolutely he is. So he is, yes, in a better place. But we can't have a society wanting to kill their young or everybody else and say, hey, I got to kill this person, get them off the planet because I'm in pain, and now they're in a better place because it doesn't work like that. And you can hear how I'm talking about all of this. I'm very passionate, just like April is. I feel the same thing that April does. But I'm sitting here saying you need to be around people who understand that even if they don't know you, that you just jumped into a Facebook group or some support group on the internet and you just cried out to the powers to be over there and the people that were there. It's like, I'm in pain, I'm hurting, I need to talk with somebody. Can you call me on the phone? Can I talk on a platform like this? Can we do this? Not in text. Because in text, you can't get those chemicals that are within you going. There's so much research out there, and that's the one thing that I've been researching is that people are lonely, and all they need to do is hear another voice, have a voice conversation on the phone or a video conversation like we're doing here, and all these chemicals that God put into our head and our mind and our body just kick in, and we can breathe again. And it all stems from talking with another human being, just letting that person just get it all out. Let them cry it out. Let them throw cups, whatever they got to do. Just let them do it, and then hug them and
You
say,
know, um, what I didn't have before that you gave me in all of this story about this mom, this is why two are better than one, because with all the unpacking of the article and the word choices and things that she said and assessing her from my vantage point, I didn't have the part, and that's why tears literally skipped my cheek and fell into my lap, because it just hit me that hard that she did this out in the open, like she wanted to be caught. And the first time that she went to that canal and pushed her son in, it almost felt to me in that moment, and of course I couldn't see her surroundings, you just see that one vantage point. It almost looked to me like she was running for help in a way that screamed silently, whatever that means in my own head. Like, oh no, what did I do? Like, I just, you know how empathetic I am, and I'm just so in tune with energy of other people. Just everything inside of me when I saw her running away from the canal spoke to me as a mom, going, oh my goodness, I can't believe I just did that. And can I undo it? And then poof, there comes a bystander. And then you saying what you did. It was a cry for help. And she could have just as easily given her child pills in food. Because did she really think she was going to get away with pushing him into a canal and then making the decision to call in a fake kidnapping? Did she really think, especially because she should know, if she's ever watched the news at all, that when you are a special needs parent and your child dies or goes missing, they are going to look at the parent first as the prime suspect, no matter what.
every time, every time.
Every time. Watching from Italy. Wow.
Wow. Welcome. It must be like, I don't know, 4 a.m.
I don't know.
No, 5. 3 a.m., something like that. Amazing. Thank you.
I don't think we've ever reached Italy before. That's a first.
Not from this time zone.
No. So yeah, that just hit me harder. You triggering that thought, that it just makes it all the more important that we provide a space for moms like this mom. And I know there's going to be people out there who completely bash her. They're going to call her every name in the book, including murderer, including whatever harsh names are out there that you can think of to call this mom. She will be called those names. I'm not here to do that. I firmly believe that she had to be going through some really awful pain and torment
Yes.
to do what she did
Yes.
and to say he's in a better place. And I
Yes.
just wish, I hope to see people speaking out. So let me put this back up on the screen real quick.
Absolutely. So the parents that are now saying, because of this story, that's me. I feel like this too. That's who we want to reach and have them come to our inner circle and help each other, talk to each other, talk it out with each other, because that's how you bond with other human beings. Right here, when you're in the trenches together, it's just like when you go to war, when you listen to people who go into war. Yes, 4:22 in the morning there. Oh my goodness. Um, if you hear the stories about soldiers who were in a war situation, who were in trenches, the foxholes together, and maybe their buddy got shot or got killed, and they live with this. Survivor's guilt, whatever, all the other trauma that comes with it, post-traumatic stress disorder, all of that, all of that. But you also realize that these soldiers of war, physical war, build bonds together, lifelong bonds. They will never forget those times together, and that's what I'm wanting to teach people here. We have spiritual wars going on here, emotional wars going on here, intellectual wars going on here. She reached the end of her rope. She didn't know what else to do. Excuse me, I got a cough.
So I brought this back up while he's coughing to say, the article says before the release of the video, Ripley's family stood behind her. They go on to say, we love Alejandro and we don't agree about whatever they said about my wife, her husband Aldo told reporters after a court hearing on Saturday. He says, it's not real. So what do you make of the way that that is written?
Well, first I would need to know what he doesn't agree about.
Right.
So what was it that was said?
Whatever they said about my wife. It sounds to me like no matter what, we stand behind her. And it's not real. There's like no context for that. But it's, in my mind, it's almost like an offensive. He's going on the offense and thinking, I know what everybody's going to say about her, and whatever you're going to say about her is not real.
And the key part for me is, reporters are biased, whether they want to say it or not. Before the release of the video, this is what he said. So the implication is, what is he saying now after the release of the video? That's the implication, but that might not even be true. That might be something that the reporter wants to put out there to have people, because here's what I learned just a few days ago, last week, that even though you share something with someone else, they may spin it. And I mean, I knew that, but I didn't know that frontal lobe. So even if you say something, people want to spin that to say, oh, well, he said that before. Now what is he saying after? So it almost implies that who's ever writing this article is saying that now he's not saying that anymore. He's not standing behind him because now the video's out and everybody can see what is true. And the only thing none of us have is her motive. We see the action. God reads the mind and the heart. We only see the outward. We only see the result of the heart and the mind. So, April, as you said, you could just see all the people bashing her. So I would say to these people, can you be the first one to throw a stone at this lady? Just like Jesus said, for this offense, for this sin. Just because you sin differently than this lady, is that any reason for you to bash her? Because if we take a look at your life, who's ever's bashing this lady, it's like, oh, she's a terrible ass, all of that, whatever. It's like if we, because we're not here to accuse you of anything. We're not here to judge you of anything. We're here to come to you and ask you, do you want our help? This is what happened. Now what? So you can stay in the moment, you can go in the past, and a lot of people like to do that. But I say, what's next? Now what? So this woman probably doesn't need to be put in jail. This woman needs some help. What kind of help? I don't know. I don't know. But I want to be there to say, I would like to help. Come talk with me. I will know quickly whether you're of sound mind or not. I don't know if she's of sound mind or not. Has anybody said anything about her being of sound mind or not? And are all bets off if she's not of sound mind? I mean, for me, it would take someone to be of not sound mind to do what she did. I could never do that, but that doesn't mean that if my mind was in such a place where I could do that, you know, we don't know if she's insane. We don't know if insanity and all of that. I mean, there's all kinds of mental health issues these days that are coming out and so on and so forth. So to those people who want to bash her, I say, we don't need you here. Those people who want to love on her and say, I don't know why you did it. I can't say that I wouldn't have done the same thing in your shoes, but I'm here to help you because that's what I have to give. You know, you're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem, is what I say. And so we know that a lot more people are going to come out of the shadows and say, I need help with my special needs, young man, young lady, and beyond. Anybody with special needs and anybody with a child who's at the rope's end. It doesn't even have to be special needs. It's like there's a lot of parents out there that are dealing with their children that are not special needs way more traumatically than those who do. Because April dealt with Momo in the early years. I mean, we have some live streams of hers. She went live crying, saying, you know, I don't know what to do. What? And here she is today, at least I've witnessed for the last few years, with her having this perfect little special needs child. And her dealing with him the way that, you know, God intended. I'm sure of that. And what she's been able to do, his behavior has completely turned around from what it was when he was 2, 3, 4, and beyond. But now he's 10, and he's like an angel. So I'm sure that there are a lot of parents that don't have special needs kids. They're pulling their hair out. And here April is with a special needs kid, and her hair is intact. April?
Do you hear him? I can hear him all the way downstairs. He's like, oh!
I know. He's having a party in his bedroom.
He's partying like it's 1999, except it's 2020. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could talk about on this topic all day, but until I reach those people wherever they are, you know, everybody talks about the social media algorithm. I don't need Facebook to boost my video. I don't need that. I don't need I don't need to put 500 hashtags on the video. I just need one. It's called #autism, or 2 #autism moms. And I just need for the people who show up here to think about what I'm talking about and just remember the next time you come across somebody in your life who is going through it, or even if you think they're not, because a lot of times women in general and autism moms specifically are very good at masking the problems because they want to. We are the warrior moms, right? We want to have everybody think that we've got all of our together. But the truth is that there are days when I will crawl into a ball somewhere and just boo-hoo. It's usually when my son is sick and I can't help him. Those are the worst days for me, is when he's throwing up or he's just had surgery or something medically related where I can't help him and the doctors have given all they know to give him and he's still uncomfortable and he's going through it and he can't express himself to me. Those are the worst days. And even with Roy, there will be times when I don't cry in front of him, even though I cry. Heck, I cried in front of you guys tonight. But there are times when you just want to cry by yourself because it's one of those really ugly cries, the kind your nose, and I'll do that in the solitude of the bathroom, and I'll get it all out because you have to. It has to come out some way. If you stuff it down, you end up doing what this mom did. And unfortunately, that happens more times than any of us would care to acknowledge.
So, in my final thoughts about all of this, it's that education in the special needs community, in the special needs parenting community, how we see our sons and daughters with special needs, needs to come up higher. There's a lot of moms and dads who don't see their children in the right way. Once again, how you believe, how you see them is how you're going to treat them. And so that's what April and I are here to do, to help parents become a better version of themselves, because that's what their children need. They need more information and plus implementation. And they need role models, because just like our kids need role models, they learn to talk by watching you. They learn to do this good habit, that bad habit by watching you. They want to emulate you. That's how God put us together. If you don't know that, know that. So if you have people in the house, or if you're that person in the house that's sending all of those, things that your child is going to catch, morals are not necessarily taught. They're more caught. And even a special needs child, because I know that with Momo, with Morgan, even the raising of our voices towards each other, and I have a loud voice just by nature, by default. And he's like, what's going on? He picks up on that energy, and it's like, yeah, and then they behave accordingly, and then you think it's their issue when it was your issue that brought their issue to light. And if you don't know that, if someone isn't there to share that with you, that's what we do here. We want to give you different perspectives, and if we can have 3, 4, 2 heads are better than 1, 3 heads are better than 2, and so on and so forth. So if we have a group of people that can give their perspective, they're not telling you what you're doing is wrong. They're not telling you what they're saying you have to do. They're just giving you perspective that you maybe don't have, and you can go, oh, I didn't have that. So therefore, if you have new information, you can make a new decision. Right, April? That's basically what I have to say. I want people to come here, get educated, get new information like I did about Momo. It might not be well, with the motor skills and everything else. I'm not going to go into that, but I learned something new just last night by listening to somebody else who's been working with kids like this for 20 years. And that's what we need. So if we don't know what we don't know, Google's not going to do us any good, because we don't know what to search for. So when we meet someone who says, oh, have you considered this? Yes. It's stories. And when somebody says, I want to tell you a story, like Casey did last night, it was like amazing. If you didn't listen to that, listen to that. Look in the transcript for the word, I want to tell you a story. Let's look for the word story and see what Casey had to say, because it just blew me away. And I know when somebody says, I want to tell you a story, I lean in. I'm at the edge of my seat. I want to hear this, because there's a huge, huge bit of information that I'm going to need and relate to my own life and the life of my bonus son. So with that, April, I'm out. That's my final thoughts. Guys, connect with us, tell other people about us, and let's just all get together and be in an inner circle. Do some of this stuff privately, because it doesn't all have to be public. But when you're good and ready, we're going to have that story. We're going to have it recorded, and then we're going to release it to the world to show the before and after picture, because I'm telling you, and April will tell you, just talk it out, and then you don't have to act it out. So if this lady would have had a support system like that, her son would still be alive today, in my humble opinion. April, thanks.
There you go. And then I just started also doing some searches on, and this is what I'm just going to kind of close things out with tonight, because I think it's important to shine a light on this stuff. Let me just, authorities, This was May 23rd, so it's 4 days ago. Authorities urgently search for missing Atlanta teen with autism. So, you know, these types of articles, this is probably a local news station, CBS 46 in Atlanta. They're posting this on their webpage. I'm sure it's been on the local news, but how far reaching is this stuff? I mean, I live in Knoxville, which is about 4-ish hour car drive from Atlanta. You know, what if somebody gave this missing teenager with autism a ride, got him as far as Knoxville? If I don't know what I don't know, I just think it's, you know, this day and age, everybody's got cameras. It's Big Brother watches everything. I mean, there's no telling who might see this young boy. So I have a platform. I have a voice. I stumbled upon this. I want to share it. I didn't really stumble upon it. I went looking for missing autism, missing autism. I don't remember what I Google searched, but I wanted to see, because oftentimes when you Google missing and autism or autism missing or search, you'll find that there's usually it's a child. In this case, this is a teenager, 19 years old. So he's of adult age. He's not a child, but I found a 19-year-old and a 38-year-old on the autism spectrum who are missing. And then another one who is 20 years old. So it's not even just children. There are young adults and actual adults who are missing. And sometimes these people are taken advantage of, or, you know, they wander off and somebody can just easily do harm to them. And so I just want to shed light on this, because just a quick Google search tonight revealed for me 3 people missing between, let me do the calculations real quick. This was May 23rd. Yeah, he was reported missing on May 23rd. And his name is Patrick Tutt, 19 years old, in Atlanta, Georgia, I'm assuming. Yeah, Southeast Atlanta. He has been diagnosed with autism, and he walks with his head down and with a slight limp. He was wearing white shirt, black jeans, and white shoes. He is. And it looks like he just graduated. So why not put his photo out there as far and wide as we can, right? And so that was May 23rd. And then we have another. This one is a missing 38-year-old woman. And she is missing from Indianapolis. And they're asking for the public's help in locating her. It tells you where she was last seen, and she was missing on, I hate these stupid websites. She was missing since May 24th. So we have May 23rd, May 24th, right? She lives with her mother. She was given permission to go on a walk at 9 o'clock that day and never returned. 5'4", 145 pounds, brown hair, hazel eyes. Last seen wearing a yellow hooded sweatshirt, shorts, and white shoes with a sparkly rainbow on them. And they say that she has autism, and she's 38 and she functions as a 16 or 17-year-old. And that's her. So we have, just going in succession here, because there's one more that I wanted to share with you. And that is this 20-year-old who is missing. And there's a Facebook page. No, this is a group. Is this a page? It's a page. 80,000 followers on it. Missing Persons Cases Network. And that one is an autism alert. This was from 12/12/19. I didn't see an update on this, so I don't know if they found him. He was last seen on a bus, getting on a bus in downtown Houston, Texas, 20 years old. And here's where you can contact the police if you see him. And there he is. So we have 12/19. So that wasn't recent. I didn't see any current updates saying that he's been found. So he may still be missing. I don't know. But these other two that I found through a quick search that are missing were within the last 4 days. And it happens. I mean, go Google search it every day. Go Google search missing autism, autism missing, and you will find very recent information. Click on the little news tab at the top of your Google browser. Not at the top, but the top of the page. Click on news, and where, you know what, I'm going to show you real quick because I can. Let's see if I share this screen and go here. So I typed in autism missing, 112 million results. And what I do, I'll make it bigger so you can see, is I go to tools up here on the right, and then I click anytime. And this is how I found recent stuff. I did anytime within the past week. And it gives you the most recent news. So this was 1 hour ago. See? A new one. The Lima news. Let's see what this is. Crews can't find missing 5-year-old with autism. May 27th. Boom. This just proves my point. So you're witnessing this in real time. Fort Jennings. I don't know where that is. Where's Fort Jennings? Anybody know? Does it say? Oh, Ohio, because Lima is in Ohio. I knew that. So this is in Lima, Ohio. Volunteer crews looked along the river for a missing child with autism Wednesday. That's today in the afternoon. 5 years old. They can't find him. Isaac Schroeder. So they were looking for him up until 8 o'clock today when it got dark. And they couldn't find him. And they organized a search for, again, tomorrow morning, Thursday at 7 a.m. at the Rec Club at Fort Jennings Park. So if there's anybody here who's watching who's in Ohio, and you're around tomorrow morning, that's where they're going to be organizing a group to go search for this little boy who's on the spectrum. He was wearing only his underpants and knew his name. His mother is Sarah Schroeder. And crews reminded people to stay in groups of at least 2 people and have cell phones with them, and urged people to stay away from the river and wooded areas after dark so no one gets lost or injured. And I'm sure when I look for this tomorrow, and I will, there will be an update as the search continues. They don't say anything about how the child went missing. That will come out eventually. And like any other story, it will live until it doesn't live anymore, which once they find the child. And listen, we all know the reality. This little boy, the longer he goes missing, the less chance they're going to find him alive. I pray that's not the case, but based on stories like this that I've ever heard, rarely do they find the child safe, especially when this child somehow left the house in just his underpants, and they have already been searching for him and with no luck. So I want to be the voice for these kids. I want to bring these stories to the forefront because it's happening every day. This is not old news. This is not something that I want to be a one and done situation. I want to do a follow-up on this tomorrow night. I do. I want to do a follow-up on that little boy that we just saw, because it's not a coincidence that I just showed you how to search for autism missing, and there's this new story that came up an hour ago. That's not a coincidence. So I feel like that's my nudge from my Father who created me to say, you're on the right track. This is what you're called to do, to help bring an awareness to things that need awareness. And so I will be back here tomorrow night. I'm hoping it won't be as long as tonight or last night, because I tend to go on for like an hour to 2 hours. And I will stay here with you as long as you stay here with me and beyond. Because as long as there's even one person still here while I'm still speaking, I know what I have to say is adding value for somebody out there. And Tammy is still here. She says, we love it. Who's we? Are you watching this with somebody, or are you just speaking for everybody? I'm glad you showed up tonight. I know that you've been wanting to stop by, and you are more than welcome to jump in a seat with me anytime. You were saying before, especially with schools closed, moms are not getting a break. Amen, sister. Yes. That is, that's Roy typing. April, and I love you, Tammy. The moms are not getting a break. And that's another thing we want to provide here, is just an atmosphere for socialization, adult conversation. We don't have to talk about, what's dragging us down all the time. We want to laugh together. We want to cry together. We want to rejoice together about the wonderful things that our children bring to our lives, because it's not all bad. There's so much good to be found. And sometimes when you're in it and you're going through it, it's hard to see the silver lining. It's hard to pull yourself out. But if you have other people who care, who can pull you out of it and show you that there's things that you should be grateful for, that it's not all bad. So I'm going to keep an eye out on that story about the little boy in Lima, Ohio, Isaac Schroeder, 5 years old. Lord, please keep that little boy safe. And I pray that he's found safe and sound, and your will be done. Sometimes out of tragedy comes blessings. They don't, tragedies happen. The Lord allows it, like Roy was saying. And through that tragedy, good things come out of it on the other side. That's just how God made it. And, I not long ago, it was back in January, I did a live stream talking about a little girl who died from a tragic accident. And she had brain damage, and it was extensive. There was no saving her. But through her death, she was young. Her name was Raven Goff. If you want to go look her up, Raven Goff, or you can go back to on our net friending Facebook page, this one, net friending on Facebook. If you go back to January, it's not that far back. We haven't done that many shows. It was a tribute to Raven Goff, Ravengoff. You can hear me talking about her story and the many lives that she saved as a result of her accident. She was an organ donor for so many young kids, and the parents are men and women of faith, and through their heartache and their grief, they touched the lives of so many people. So many people were touched by their story, and they shared their faith with a lot of people. And a lot of people now, people who weren't going to church, people who didn't have a strong relationship with God, they now are, they're now living their lives a little differently. And so this little girl just touched so many lives. And I was so honored to be able to share their story through the live stream. So again, everything happens for a reason, even though we may not in our flesh understand what that reason is. So Tammy joined me in prayer. So a hedge of protection over him, Lord God, in your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So with that, I'm going to, Tammy says there's a family in Corona, which is in California, who have made it their mission to give bicycle helmets to kids because their child was killed for not wearing one. Oh, I love that. How many kids have they saved? Yes, yes, yes. I love that. I love hearing stories like that where tragedy turns into a blessing for so many people. Like one person's tragedy becomes a million people's blessings. That's how God created all of us. And yeah, good stuff, you guys. I'm going to be thinking about this mom that I talked about tonight. I think her name was Patricia. Yeah, Patricia Ripley. Please keep Patricia Ripley. This is going to get to me. Because, I have to say this before I go. When I first saw this story tonight, I was outraged. I was angry at the mom. But in talking this out tonight, I now feel bad for her because I get to really examine what I think might have happened, and then I got Roy's perspective, and I feel for her. I feel for all the moms out there. I feel for all the moms out there that are going through it. I can't say I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be frustrated and sad and not knowing what to do next in a situation, but I don't know that kind of I want out type of feeling when it comes to my child. I felt that for myself for other reasons where like, Lord, just come take me now, like I just can't do life anymore. I've had moments like that, but I've never had a thought that I wanted to take my child's life. And so I just wish I could hug this woman right now and just kind of grieve with her through the whole process. I just wish that I could have a conversation with her. I wish I could have been that person for her. And I'm just hoping that because somehow I found out about their story today, that doing this live stream tonight leads me to somebody out there who's feeling the way that this mom felt. And these are really great words, like overwhelmed, tired, depleted. Who are you describing? Because it could be me right now. Yeah, so anyway, I could go on all night about this, and yeah, I just hope. Oh, you're talking about you. See, you need to jump in a seat because maybe I did this show tonight for you. I don't know. But anytime. There you go. There you go. Listen, the IEP is not the be all end all. I fight to an extent, but I don't let it take control of me anymore. So, oh gosh, what did you find? What is all that? Can you give me some context? Miami Special Needs Group sees rise in crisis calls 3 days ago. You know, maybe I should reach out to the writer of that Miami Herald article. I may just do that. Patricia Ripley, husband, possible motive. Oh, didn't see that. I could go down a rabbit hole with all of this. There's plenty of news articles galore that you can read on stuff like this every day. Every freaking day. And so whoever sees this video, tell your friends to come here. All right, Roy, are you done? Are you done? Okay. I love you guys. Thank you, Tammy, for your feedback tonight, sharing your tiredness, your depletedness. I saw a post in the Times like these, child abuse goes up. Yeah, a post in Times like these, child abuse. Yes, during the quarantine. It's true. There was another story. It wasn't autism related, but it's child abuse, child murder. Just maybe an hour and a half ish from where I live. There was an article last night as I was going to bed. I was reading it, that they found that a family was keeping their children in the basement. A 63-year-old and a 60-year-old keeping their children in a basement with no food and water, like bread and water, I think is all they got. And even that was limited. They kept them in a cage, probably in the cold and in the heat. And this has been going on for years. And then the daughter, one of the daughters, was murdered. The parents killed her 3 years ago, and they just now found her body. Authorities just found her body. They just discovered that this girl was dead. These stories that keep coming up, and what's his name? George Lloyd. I can't remember his name. That's been all in the news today. I don't even know what state that happened in, because I just heard that story last night and it's been all over social media today. Being killed by a police officer. And then the officers were arrested, or no, they were fired. I don't know if they were arrested yet, but I mean, there's all these stories that can't even keep up with them. It's just, there's so much injustice. And there's so many people in this world that are falling under the radar. They're just like flying under the radar. Everybody's talking about coronavirus and you must wear masks and all this coronavirus stuff. There's more people right now dying from abuse and drugs and killing each other. Let's not talk about that. Let's just talk about COVID-19. I can't, y'all. I can't. You have me on a soapbox now. Elderly and spousal. Yes. All of that. So anyway, I got to go because I could talk about this all night long. And then next thing I know, Roy's going to bring up another screen share and I'll be here another hour. So I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully a shorter period of time. Because I really want to start making bite-sized videos, like consumable, easy to digest. But I get on a kick, and I figure if Tammy's gonna stay with me for an hour or two, I'm gonna hang for an hour or two. That's just who I am. So anyway, I love you guys. Keep these people in your prayers. So many people need our prayers. So many people need our help. They need to come take a seat with us. So, and I got to go check out. The boy is still partying like it's 1999. Thank you, Tammy. It was great seeing you and having you here. And Tammy's got you. I got you. All right. I'll see you all tomorrow, 9 o'clock Eastern. Good night.